Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today I am going to give my UFC 325 Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes 2 fight predictions. Let's get straight into it. Starting off, we have some road to the UFC, I think they're finals. One of them we have is Sulin Grambo versus Lawrence Louis. Is it Lou? Sulin Grambo is 10-3. His last fight was against Sim K. Long and got a decision win. Lawrence Liu is 7-1, and his last fight was against Van Wijnen and got a TKO in the second round and won that. Sulin Grambo versus Lawrence Liu still starts out looking like a patience versus pressure kind of fight. But the deeper you look, the more it feels like Sulin Gu's physicality eventually becomes the deciding factor. Sulin Grambo is strong, heavy, and very comfortable turning fights into grinding exchanges. He doesn't mind taking a shot if it means getting inside, and once he's there, he makes opponents work every second. Clinches, pressure against the fence, short shots, that's where he wants to live. Liu is clearly the cleaner striker. Early on, he should be able to land straight shots, stay calm and look composed, while Sulin Grambo plods forward but stays in that calm style. Also means he's giving ground, and against someone this physical, they can add up fast. Sulin Grambo doesn't need to win every exchange cleanly. He just needs to keep forcing them. As the first round wears on, you can see the fight shifting. Every clinch takes something out of Liu. Every time Sulin Grambo gets his hands on him, it slows him a bit more. By the second round, the pressure starts turning into real damage. Sulin Grambo's short strikes and tight, his bodywork and willingness to stay charged, chest to chest, begin to overwhelm Liu, who's now reacting instead of dictating. Once Liu starts backing straight up and spending too much time on the fence, that's when Sulin Grambo breaks through. A heavy combination, ground and pound, or a prolonged clinch barrage feels inevitable at this point. Sulin Grambo, but he knows how to press. He smells fatigue. So my prediction: give me Sulin Grambo by TKO in the second round, steady pressure early, physical dominance taking over, and a finish once Liu keeps the fight clean. So he finished Liu and can't keep the fight clean anymore. So give me Sulin Grambo by TKO in the second round. Next fight on the card we have is Chiricho Nakamura versus Sebastian Zale. These names are hard to pronounce. These roads to the UFC, guys. Chiricho Nakamura, he's 7-1. His last fight was against Kai Wen Lee and got a decision win. Sebastian Zale, his record is 10-1, and his last fight was against Chang Min Yun and got a TKO in the first round and won that. Chiricho Nakamura versus Sebastian Zale feels like one of the road to the UFC fights where the guy who stays calmer and cleaner ends up getting the nod. Nakamura is a solid and technical sound, especially early. He's disciplined, doesn't make many huge mistakes, and likes to build his offense. The issue is his pace can be a bit conservative, and when fights get close, he doesn't always do enough to clearly separate himself on scorecards. Slade comes in a bit more edge in terms of output and urgency. He's willing to throw more, actually force a fight to happen rather than waiting for it. His striking isn't wild, but he's purposeful, straight punches, combinations, and the pressure that makes Nakamura work harder. He'd probably like that. The extra activity matters a lot in the 3-round fights, three-round fight like this, where this likely gets decided in a small moments. Who's landing the cleanest shots, who's pushing the action, and who looks like they want more. Nakamura has stretches on control or technical success, but Zale feels like the guy who consistently edges the exchanges and leaves a stronger impression with judges. It doesn't scream finish, instead it feels like a competitive fight where one guy is a step busier and a bit more assertive from start to finish. My prediction, give me Sebastian Slay by decision, close rounds, steady pressure, and enough clean work to take it on the cards. I think this is the last road to the UFC fight we got as Dom Ma-Fan versus Sang Uk Kim. Dom Ma-Fan, he's 8-2. His last fight was against Jae Hyun Park and got a decision win. Sang Uk Kim is 13-3, and his last fight was against Wei Ren and got a sub in the second round. Dom Ma-Fan versus Sang Uk Kim feels like a classic road to the UFC matchup where pace and composure ends up deciding everything. Kim is physical and aggressive, and you can tell he likes to push forward and force exchanges. He's at his best when he can turn fights into brawls or grind-heavy sequences where his opponents have to react to him. The downside is that his pressure isn't always clean, and he can get a bit predictable when he's chasing moments. Dom Ma-Fan feels like a steadier presence. He's more comfortable letting the fight breathe, picking his shots and not panicking when things get messy. His striking is cleaner, his defense is more respondable, and he doesn't rush into bad positions. When Kim presses forward, Dom Ma-Fan should be able to circle, land the sharper shots, and make Kim miss just enough to slow him down. This looks like a fight where Kim has bursts of success, especially early, but Dom Ma-Fan consistency wins out over time. He doesn't need to dominate, just stay composed and land the better shots, and avoid getting dragged into the prolonged scrambles where Kim's physicality could shine over 3 rounds. The cleaner work and calmer approach usually shifts on the scorecards. It's not flashy, but it's effective. It's my prediction. Give me Dom Ma-Fan by decision. Steady control, cleaner striking, and better round-by-round work for me. So yeah, Dom Ma-Fan by decision. Now, on to... do I call them like real fights? I don't know what to call them. We got Khan Offley versus Yeja. Khan Offley, he's 12-4-1. His last fight was against Ricardo Ramos and got a sub in the first round and won that. And then Yeja, he's 26-5, and his last fight was against Weston Wilson and got a TKO in the first round and won that. Khan Offley versus Yeja feels like a matchup where momentum and pressure are going to matter a lot. Offley is tough and willing to engage, but he tends to take a bit of time to find his rhythm. He's more comfortable once he's had a round to settle in, read his opponent, and start reacting instead of initiating. That can be risky against someone who likes to push early and force exchanges. Yeja, on the other hand, looks like a guy who wants to take control of the fight quickly. He throws what he needs, especially once he gets comfortable in the pocket, and he doesn't hesitate to sit down over the shots early on. Offley might be able to survive on toughness and movement, but the more Yeja lands, the harder it's going to be for Offley to keep up. Defensively, this feels like a fight where the damage starts adding up in the first round and really shows the second. Once he slows just a bit or starts backing straight up, Yeja's pressure and power should take over. He's not just swinging widely either. He picks his moments, steps in range, and comes when he smells blood. If Yeja finds that opening in round 2, it's easy to see him swarming and forcing a stoppage. So my prediction: give me Yeja by TKO in the second round. Steady pressure early, damage building, and finish once the pace shifts in his favor. So my prediction: Yeja by TKO in the second round. Next fight on the card, the fight that got rebooked. We have Jonathan McAuliffe versus Oban Elliott. Jonathan McAuliffe is 8-1. His last fight was against Kevin Doucet and got a decision win. Oban Elliott, on the other hand, 12-3, and his last fight was against Hyuk Hyun Ko and got a decision loss. Jonathan McAuliffe versus Open Elliott feels like a fight where fundamentals and composure are going to win out over raw aggression. Mikhailov is tough and willing to scrap, and he's a type who won't back down from exchanges. He likes to push forward, throw volume, and test his opponent's willingness to stand in the fire. That can make him dangerous, but it can also leave him open defensively. Open Elliott comes across as the cleaner, more controlled fighter. He's comfortable managing distance, picking his moments, and not forcing anything that isn't there. His jab and straight shots allow him to score without over-committing, and he does a good job of staying balanced, so he doesn't get caught in wild exchanges. When Mikhailov pressures, Elliott should be able to ankle off, land the sharpest shots, and reset the action. This looks like a fight where Mikhailov has moments, especially when he ups the pressure, but Elliott's consistency is what separates them. He doesn't need to hurt Mikhailov badly, just wins the exchanges, defend well, and keep the fight in his preferred range. Over 3 rounds, that kind of steady would usually adds up on scorecards. It may not be the most explosive fight on the card, but it feels like one where Elliott quietly does enough in every round to get his hand raised. So my prediction: give me Open Elliott by decision, cleaner striking, better control of range, and a composed performance over 3 rounds. Next fight on the card we have is Jacob Malkoun versus Torres Finney. Jacob Malkoun is 8-3. His last fight was against Andre Petrovsky and got a TKO in the second round and won that. Torres Finney is 11-0, and his last fight was against Robert Valentin and got a decision win. Jacob Malkoun versus Torres Finney is still a classic clash of styles, but when you really sit with it, it feels like the kind of fight that quietly favours Malkoun's consistency over 3 rounds. Malkoun is exactly who he's always been, a grinder who wants to close distance, lock his hands, and turn the fight into a series of exhausting exchanges. He's not flashy, and he's not chasing highlight finishes. He's chasing minutes, control, and iteration. Finney is strong and athletic, no doubt. He's hard to move, doesn't freak out when things get scrappy, and he can survive in bad spots early on. He'll probably have moments where he stuffs takedowns or force Malkoun to work harder than he wants, but the key thing with Malkoun is that he doesn't get discouraged and the takedown fails. He goes right back to the well, clinch after clinch, attempt after attempt. He just keeps making you carry his weight. Over time, the effort adds up. If Malkoun isn't doing massive damage, he's still dictating where the fight takes place. Fence pressure, mat return, top control, those are the things judges consistently reward when they're sustained. Finney might land the cleaner shots in the open space, but if large chunks of each round are spent with Malkoun on top, pinning him against the cage, the control starts to overweigh the optics. By the later rounds, it becomes less about explosiveness and more about who's still imposing their game. Malkoun's pace and physical style are built for that kind of fight. He doesn't need dominant moments, just steady ones as long as he keeps Finney reacting and defending instead of setting his own rhythm. He's doing his job. So my prediction, give me Jacob Malkoun by decision. Not pretty, not dramatic, but effective. A grind-heavy performance where control, pressure, and persistence are enough to edge the scorecards. Next fight on the card we have is Cam Ralston versus Cody Brundage. I'm actually kind of looking forward to this fight. Cam Ralston is 13-3, and his last fight was against Andre Petrovsky and got a TKO in the first round. Cody Brundage, on the other hand, is 11-7-1, and his last fight was against Eric McConaughey and got a decision loss. Cam Ralston versus Cody Brundage feels like one of those fights where momentum and composure are going to matter a lot. Brundage is dangerous early. He's powerful, aggressive, and willing to throw big shots right from the opening bell when things go his way early. He can overwhelm guys quickly. The problem is that his gas tank and decision-making tend to fall off as the fight goes on. Once the initial burst slows down, his defense gets looser and becomes much easier to hit clean. Ralston, on the other hand, comes across as the more patient and calculated fighter. He doesn't rush into chaos. He reads what's coming back, and he's comfortable letting the fight develop. He's durable enough to survive the early push, and smart enough to avoid getting dragged into the wild brawl before he's ready. As Brundage starts to slow, Ralston's cleaner striking and shot selection become to show. This feels like a classic case of weathering the early storm. If Ralston can get through the first round without taking big damage, the fight really swings in his favour. Brundage's openings gets bigger, he starts to slow, and that's when Ralston can start landing with intent, instead of just touching. That sounds a bit weird. Once Ralston gets his timing, it's easy to picture him putting combinations together and forcing Brundage into defense mode. From there, it's short step to finish, especially if Brundage is tired and taking shots. He can't roll with. So my prediction: give me Cam Ralston by TKO in the second round. Patience early, pressure late, and finish once Brundage starts to fade. Next fight on the card we have is Junior Tafa versus Billy Alicana. Junior Tafa is 6-4, and his last fight was against Toko Tokos and lost by sub in the second round. On the other hand, Billy Alicana is 9-2, and his last fight was against Kevin Christian, which he got a sub in the first round and, of course, won that. Junior Tafa versus Billy Alicana is one of those light heavyweight matchups where the result could swing hard in either direction, but the paths to victory are completely different. Tafa is exactly what you'd expect from him: big power, aggressive mindset, and zero hesitation to trade. If this stays on the feet for any real amount of time, he's dangerous. The problem with Tafa has always been what happens when fights don't stay in his comfort zone. His grappling defense isn't great, and when opponents force clinches or hit takedowns, he tends to look uncomfortable fast. That's where Alicana comes in. He's not going to want a striking battle here at all. His clearest advantage is on the ground, and he knows it. Alicana is strong, proactive in grappling exchanges, and wastes no time once he gets things on the mat. Against a light heavyweight who's primarily a striker, that's a massive edge. All he really needs is one clean entry and a clinch, a trap, or even Tafa overcommitting on a punch, and that fight can flip instantly. Light heavyweights especially don't need long setups for submissions. Once Alicana is on top and or gets Tafa scrambling, openings appear quickly. Tafa's tendency to swing hard early actually plays into this, because it gives Alicana chances to change levels underneath big shots. If Alicana can avoid eating something huge in the first minute, this feels like a fight that ends fast the moment it hits the mat. One takedown, a quick scramble, and suddenly Tafa is defending a choke instead of throwing bombs. So my prediction: give me Billy Alicana by submission in the first round, survive the opening chaos, drag it to the ground, and look for something early before Tafa can settle. So my prediction: Billy Alicana by a submission in the first round. Next fight on the card, we actually have quite a fun fight on here. We got Quillan Selkeld versus Jamie Mullarkey. Quillan Selkeld is 10-1, and his last fight was against Nasrat Haqparast and got a TKO in the first round, and he won that. Jamie Mullarkey is 18-8, and his last fight was against Rolando Bedoya and got a decision win. Quillan Selkeld versus Jamie Mullarkey feels like one of those fights where the first round is more about filling each other out, and the second round is where things get real. Mullarkey is fast, aggressive, and loves to throw volume. He got the kind of striking that can make opponents pay if they overcommit, and he likes to push the pace early. The problem is that his output sometimes comes at the cost of defense. He leaves openings, especially when he's trying to force the fight or counter someone with more power. Against someone like Selkeld, that's risky. Selkeld is more calculated and packs the kind of power that can turn small mistakes into big trouble. He's comfortable letting his opponents come to him a little in the first round, reading patterns and timing counters. Once he spots an opening, he's not hesitant to let combinations go or pressure into the clinch if needed. His durability also gives him room to survive Malaki's bursts while building momentum. The way I see it, round 1 will be about Selkeld studying Malaki, landing a few clean shots and letting the younger striker burn some energy. Round 2 is when Selkeld starts to take over heavier shots, sharper combinations, and pressure that forces Malaki onto the back foot. Eventually that accumulation should be enough to stop the fight. So my prediction, give me Quill and Selkeld by TKO in the second round, weather the pace early, find the openings, and finish once Malaki starts to fade. Next fight on the card, we got the big man, Tai Bam Bam Tuivasa versus Taliesin Teixeira. I'm so bad at saying his last name. Tai Tuivasa's record is 14-8. His last fight was against why can't I say names? Jason Rosen. You know how he fought last, and he got a decision loss there. Taliesin Teixeira is 8-1, and his last fight was against Derek Lewis and got a TKO in the first round and lost that fight. Tai Tuivasa versus Taliesin Teixeira is shaping up to be a classic striker versus power puncher heavyweight clash. Tuivasa is dangerous because he comes forward with non-stop aggression and big bombs. He thrives when the fight stays on the feet, swinging heavy and forcing opponents to react. The problem is that his pressure can be predictable, and he leaves himself open when he commits to those big punches. Against a calculated finish like Teixeira, that's a big liability. Teixeira, on the other hand, is patient and knows how to pick his spots. He's got knockout power, timing, and ability to make opponents pay when they overcommit. Teixeira doesn't need a long fight. He just needs one clean opening, especially in the second round, when his opponent's early bursts start to slow. Once he lands, he can finish quickly and precise enough, and he's precise enough to not overextend. I see Tuivasa come out swinging early, trying to impose his pace, but Teixeira's weathering the storm and staying composed. By round 2, that patience pays off. A well-timed counter or a clean combination puts Tuivasa in trouble, and Teixeira capitalizes for the finish. So my prediction, give me Taliesin Teixeira by KO in the second round. Survive Tuivasa's early aggression, pick the openings, and land a decisive finish. Next fight on the card we have is Rafael Fiziev versus Mauricio Huffy. Rafael Fiziev, his record is 13-4. His last fight was against Ignacio Bahamontes and got a decision win. On the other hand, Mauricio Huffy is 12-2, and his last fight was against Benoit Saint-Denis, where he lost by submission in the first round. Rafael Fiziev versus Mauricio Huffy feels like a fight that is going to come down to pace, precision, and who can control the rhythm. Fiziev is one of those fighters who thrives when he can dictate the range and picks his shots carefully. His striking is clean, technical, and sneaky. He mixes in kicks, counters, and angles that make him hard to hit. He's not the kind of fighter who necessarily overwhelms you with volume, but the shots he does land are noticeable and score well. Rufi is an aggressive and willing to push the pace, but he's a little more straightforward in his approach. He's going to try and make it messy, come forward, and force exchanges that can win rounds. If Fiziev makes a mistake, but if Fiziev's experience and timing make him hard to trap, Rufi would land some big shots, but Fiziev is smart about staying exclusive. resetting and controlling the exchanges with cleaner strikes. This feels like a fight where Rufi has moments, especially when he closes the distance, but Fiziev's consistently tends the sharpest strikes and manages the cage better over 3 rounds. That precision and control should show clearly on the judges' scorecards. So my prediction, I do have Rafael Fiziev by decision. He's steady, technical striking, solid defense, and smarter pacing to win over 3 rounds. So give me Rafael Fiziev by a decision here. Next fight on the card, the co-main event, we have Dan Hooker versus Benoit Saint Denis. Dan Hooker is 24. His record is 24-13, and his last fight was against Arman Sorokian, where he lost by submission in the second round. Benoit Saint Denis, on the other hand, is 16-3, and his last fight was against Beneil Dariush and got a TKO in the first round and won that fight. Dan Hooker versus Benoit Saint Denis is one of those matchups where experience meets precision, and it looks like Saint Denis could take it if he plays it smart. Hooker is tough, aggressive, and loves to push the pace. He comes forward with combinations, mixes and kicks, and thrives in messy high-output exchanges. That style can make him dangerous, but it also leaves openings against a fighter who's patient and precise. Saint Denis isn't flashy, but he's smart. He picks his shots carefully, moves well, and doesn't overcommit against someone like Hooker. The patience is huge. He can let Hooker throw, make him miss, and capitalize with counters or well-timed kicks. Over the course of the fight, that kind of strategy builds up. Hooker might land here and there, but Saint Denis looks like the guy who consistently does the cleaner work and controls the pace. This feels like a fight where the action might look back and forth at times, but Saint Denis' discipline and timing give him the edge round after round. Hooker will have moments, but Saint Denis should be able to stay composed, avoid big trouble, and score more consistently. It's my prediction. I do actually have Benoit Saint Denis by decision. I know by KO or something, but I feel like it might go a decision. I think it's going to be an all-out war, and it's going to be awesome. But I think he's going to win from his patience, calculated, and smart control of the fight, and I think he keeps ahead on the scorecards. So yeah, Benoit Saint Denis by decision here. Next fight on the card, the main event, we have Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes, the rematch. Alexander Volkanovski is 27-4, and his last fight was against Diego Lopes, where he got a decision win. Diego Lopes, on the other hand, his record is 27-7, and his last fight was against Gene Silva, where he got, was it a KO or a TKO? I can't remember, over Gene Silva in the second round. Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes is a fight that is all about control, position, and championship-level composure. Volkanovski is one of the most complete fighters in the featherweight division. His striking is crisp, his wrestling is elite, and his fight IQ is through the roof. He doesn't need to go out for flashy finishes to win. He wins rounds by making opponents miss, landing clean shots, and controlling the pace. Lopes is tough and aggressive, and he'll come forward looking to make things happen. He can land, he can mix it up, and he has the kind of energy that can cause problems early. But against a guy like Volkanovski, raw aggression isn't enough. Volkanovski is great at managing distance, reading attacks, and forcing opponents into position where their energy gets burned while he stays composed. The key is the championship rounds. Lopes might have moments, but Volkanovski's consistency, adaptability, and cleaner striking will shine over time. He's the kind of fighter who can neutralize threats without taking unnecessary risks, accumulate points, and keep the fight firmly in his control. So my prediction, I do have Alexander Volkanovski to win by decision, I think, because of his smart, calculated striking, excellent pace control, and the kind of disciplined performance that keeps him ahead on all scorecards. So, yes, I do have Alexander Volkanovski to win by decision. I think it's going to be close, like the first fight was. The first one wasn't that close. I think Alexander Volkanovski kind of won more rounds than him. He won, of course. But I'm looking forward to the fight. I know it's a fight that, I wasn't excited at first, but I think as the weeks come on, and we had that massive, gap of UFC, I'm like, okay, I don't care. I would love to see this fight. And it's good that we're getting it. So, yeah, that is it. Thank you for watching my predictions for UFC 325, Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes, the rematch. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel. It'll be a massive help. Thanks for watching. Take care. Peace.